following material may contain sex, coarse language, and violence.
But can he be put back together?
Sorry, next question. I've already answered your question, sir.
Could he be put back together?
I'm glad you asked. We have actually tried to recombine the molecules of a dissipated patient, but because of the response time here, we almost managed to do it. Unfortunately, it seems the speed that he had also imparted the distance they traveled, leaving a slight particle vacuum. So, probably not likely, unless there was a recombitive force. Which brings me, if there are no further questions, looks around. Stephanie's like, what about mutants like, say, for example, Ultra Girl, who have the ability to move at super speeds, but not necessarily have super speed power? I'm glad you asked. We did try to put him back together. Unfortunately, he had already spread too far because of his speed. And now, if you'll all turn to your textbooks in Chapter 3, page 165, none of you have textbooks for this, you will see the diagrams relating to this. Any other questions?
I'll turn to Ghost textbook.
Yes, Derek.
What about the ones that like Ultra Girl, the super speed?
I'm glad you asked. Now, super speed granted by access to other powers are actually a means of enhancement. Superpowered muscles pushing a leg off of a ground moves them faster through the air, and toughness resists it. It's not, strictly speaking, real super speed, or what we call burst super speed. In a situation like with Ultra Girl, she's actually negating physics instead of circumventing them. I realize the distinction may be different to novices, but to science people, it's known as it's a thing they do.
It's a thing that they...
I'll just look at Steve. Okay.
Yes, Roxanne.
Were the people in charge here expecting this to happen?
I'm glad you asked that question. Yes. As I've already explained, we were hoping that it could be induced because of his raw power to contain it as well. Yes, my dear.
Your first name is Scientist.
I'm Scientist Man.
Is that just like a name you took?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Scientist Man.
That's my question.
Moving on.
God damn it, if we waited until Tobias was back, at least we would have had
I
some
do
kind
have
of safety
another
measures for the
question.
kid.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
So, how likely and dangerous was the side effect that rendered him a Keter about changing the dynamic poles of the Earth?
I'm glad you asked. Picture of a cat? Right, there we go. Now, if our hopes were successful and his molecules had been reversed with negative inversion induction, then he would have survived longer. And if that had happened, discharges from his super speed would have very likely had catastrophic effects. But because he died so soon, it did not happen. Yes, Derek.
So you're saying that if he survived the process, it would have been more dangerous?
Not at all, and I'm glad you asked that. Look here. Dog, bunny, cat thing. Here on this chart here is just like a picture of Tom going like... With recent studies into Keter physics, we have learned that it is sometimes possible with proper training and willpower to cause certain recurrent Keter powers to be more mentally controllable. With his super enhanced speed and intellect possibly a thing that he would unlock, he would have had moment-by-moment control over his surges with proper training, therefore rendering a very powerful, if not very fast, super speed Keter regularly utilizable by the department. Had he been able to survive long enough, and there's no way we could have helped or prevented that, he had a bright future ahead of him if his attitude problems could have been fixed. However, there was no way we could prevent or delay his separation. It was merely our hope that his power level would have prevented that.
Damn. In saying that, a mutant that could control gravity and forces, if we'd waited for Tarius to come back, wouldn't that have been a safety net for the kid?
It is possible that the mutant you're referring to might have been able to do something, but remember, just keeping a bag of molecules together is different than retaining them in their exact position that makes a person. In the same way an ice sculpture could be liquefied and held in a bag that's roughly the shape of an ice sculpture would not be the ice sculpture. I'm afraid it might have just been disgusting and disturbing, but who knows what the eventual limits Tarius might have. Now, I'm glad you asked that. He turns over like a whole wad, and there's like a bunch of fucking scientific shit. We have studies in the Tarius phenomenon. We have been able to isolate and identify 15 distinct powers, one of which is gravitic and molecular control, but not necessarily to the level you're talking about. His level would stop here at the physiological. He would need quantum level control, but maybe in time he could have reached that level. We don't know what limits he has yet. In short, a regrettable incident that we could not have avoided. And waiting might sound like an answer. However, he was on a ticking clock, in the danger room or napping in his room. It may have happened at any point. Honestly, he lasted a surprising amount of time already, which is what gave us hope for this program. Otherwise, we would never have offered. I feel somewhat responsible as I made the final determination myself to include him in the program instead of seeking early termination of the subject. But there was so much promise I couldn't resist. I blame myself.
Well,
even though that is not rational.
Jesus, that hits home. Yeah, I was the one that told him to go.
Oh. That's probably a good thing. Reviewing the surviving tapes of the incident indicate that he at least died with a sense of determination and elation as he was finally getting to show off his powers. He would not have actually experienced anything at all past that separation, so he went out, as far as he was concerned, a big hero.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything you could have done to delay this. I know I can't prove that to you, because you would need several years of physics classes and mutant biology to be able to understand such complex things as mutants like I do. Hey, it's scientist, man, not explain things to people, man. I'm glad you asked. His mental attitude couldn't he's pointing at Diggs. The mental attitude couldn't possibly have affected this at all, although perhaps a more diligent mindset would have, in the later stages we were hoping to reach, have affected things. His current mindset was largely irrelevant. We're talking about raw physics at work here, in a process called subduction. Says it all. Thank you. Are there any further questions?
No,
let us move on to the next part. So, you're going to get like a 3-hour lecture on the speed phenomenons, the various types of speed stir. You learn a secret of the DMV, that super speeders are actually not the rarest thing on Earth. It's surviving super. You know those missing kids that go missing and are never solved? Super speeders. Probably some of them, not all of them, some of them. So they're not actually the rarest thing on Earth. That's your secret you've learned today, kids. That super speeders are in fact a lot more common and a lot more tragic.
Well,
ripped apart by their own
common.
mutation. That is
The occurrences are more common.
and that is why a lot of people view mutation as kind of a curse. Although I disagree. I think of it as an opportunity to help others with science, man.
Thank you for this incredibly informative, if slightly morbid.
So you're going to learn about super speed, burst super speed, faux super speed, which is kind of what Ultra Girl does, and speed force. This is a theory I, science man, have. Not a lot of people agree that there's some kind of force of speed that grants speed, super speed powers, but also protects people from the after effects. Like young Susan here, when she goes into super speed mode, his or her clothing will burst off their body. He is resistant to the forces, but her clothing isn't.
I loved everything about that explanation.
Susan? No, I'm so confused. I could be a Susan. I could be a good Susan. Wait, what? I just want Dad to love me.
Aww.
Any questions? Okay, so actually any questions.
So the question is, does that give us a bonus on knowledge of super speeders?
Yes, that is the point of the class.
So +1 on super speeder knowledge.
Yes. These classes are
Yeah, that's why.
to give you advantages.
Just so we.
I'm just going to write Secret of the DMV Super Speed.
What is actually rare and thought to be completely impossible to reoccur with the 60-second man's ability to also be very fast and shoot lightning. But then Peter here was the next one to have both powers. We thought it was impossible to happen again, like lightning striking twice. Which is a misnomer, because lightning can strike the same place many times and has been historically recorded to strike up to 12 times in the same place on non-consecutive occasions.
There's a guy that got struck 7 times, survived each time. Apart from the last. 7 times survived.
I heard about a guy who got hit 5 times by lightning and then killed himself.
I think that's the one I heard of.
I don't know if that's true or urban legend. I've heard of it.
That 7 times was back years ago. This is
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been in the exact same place. I'm talking about lightning never struck.
Yeah, no, so it's not.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't gonna tell lightning what to do.
No.
I think like that's one of those urban legends that got spread around because it's like, well, this is a capricious thing from the sky that you witnessed. No, most people can't see the upspike, but you can't without a slow-mo camera.
Well, that and
And it's just going to hit you. It gives you that feeling of safety. It's like, well, if I stand, it was here before. I'm okay.
Well, that and they didn't really have the lightning rods and stuff then, so anything the lightning hit the first time was going to be there.
It's still going to be bigger the first time.
Most storms move as they go, so you usually don't get a lot of strikes.
Yeah, but if you got struck, the next storm comes through, that's still the biggest thing in the fucking place.
Any
You
other
get struck there
questions
again.
for scientists, man, or things you want answered about super speed while I'm here and willing to answer your questions?
So,
Scientist, man.
all of the super speeders I've seen, bar Johnny, Steph has also said were incredibly dense. Is this...
I'm glad you asked that question, Michael. Super speed usually registers as denser than normal because of the speed at which their molecules are rotating. They're atoms. I see saying molecules when I mean atoms. Their subatomic particles are racing around faster, meaning it's more difficult for density vision or density meters to actually penetrate, often hitting the same particle multiple times as it passes through. Imagine your detector is a beam and it goes through an object and it hits here, but it's hitting each molecule as it rotates around, each little piece of the atom, but it's moving and spinning at the same place, so it appears more dense. It's not actually more dense, but it appears so because of the molecular excitement in a process known as...
They must get really confusing when super speeders fight super
Stephanie's like,
speeders.
wait, so Johnny isn't massively dense? Well, I always thought I was a little brighter than normal. No, Bonnie's brighter than normal. She's like, I got that one! If there are any other questions, Scientist Man can answer you about super speed. That's your opportunity, kids.
How often does Johnny ask questions?
He doesn't.
He's already been told all the stuff, hasn't he?
He's already learned. He didn't know about the commonality, but he kind of knows about how super speed works and molecules and that. A lot of super speeders don't take the time to learn about the special physics of super speed. Only the most effective super speeders who want to maximize their output and capabilities will learn about this. It's very dense subject matter.
I have a question.
Eiley.
If the DMV... Holy shit. Okay, if the DMV actually has super speeders, have we taught them how to fight? Do they have their own
Actually,
stuff?
the DMV only has one active super speed full agent.
Really?
Yes. A lot of what we have is faux super speeders. People capable of moving at faster than normal rates due to super dense musculature and output, combined with resistance to air pressure.
Because this
It's
was...
a secret we keep very close. If criminals knew that we only had one actual super speeder, they'd be able to plan a lot more effectively. Hence why we don't tell people a lot of stuff. It does breed some resentment, but in a psychological tactic known as lying to people, we are able to preserve these necessary secrets. Consider it part of national security disclaimer.
Okay, well, I'm still kind of a noob on the whole physics
Of
thing,
course.
but how do the super speeders not mulch themselves with the same damage they're applying to us when...
The super speeders cannot mulch themselves with the same damage they're applying to you, because to them they're applying a normal punch. If you punch someone in the face, you're more likely to break the bones in your hand. In a situation known as these ones are less strong than a jaw, so don't hit people with a closed fist, though it is on occasion hilarious. So to them, it's a normal punch. But you, however, are experiencing a normal punch coming at you at many, many times the speed of sound. Speed Force people have a different answer to this, although, again, I seem to be the only person who believes that Speed Force exists. I believe the Speed Force would protect them. Now, if Mr. Thunder here were to punch one of you at super speed in the jaw, there is still a chance he will break his hand. Although the sheer speed he is moving at means the point of impact is a lot smaller. But it's the same for him.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
He will then ramble on for half an hour and write many complex scientific things, and then he'll like, so you see, that's why a super speeder punching someone would only hurt them if it would hurt them, a normal person punching a normal person. But you experience much more force from the punch. And now that is explained.
Glazed. They didn't give us textbooks. They didn't give us notepads. We can't even write this down.
Well, the reason you weren't given writing materials is because this matter is considered a top technical secret. And documents of top technical secret documents might be found by cleaning staff or discarded by others. So, while you will be given a refresher course on this in time to come if necessary, you will have to rely on your own excellent memories. At this point, Tom goes...
There's
Has class started yet?
My head hurts so much.
It's almost over, Tom. We've been here for almost 3 hours.
What did I learn about? Did I
Speed.
copy off you?
You're
There's
gonna
no
have
note.
notes, Tom.
John Lexian's like, I'll fill you in later. Oh. Sir. Yes, Mr. Fury.
Wait, what?
Will there be a test on this? Yes. When will this test be? With your final exams.
For today.
Now for your final exam. Outside Shamakanda birds. No, that doesn't happen. Any other questions? Burning curiosity?
I can't think of anything.
What known vigilante or enemy super speeders are there out there? Can you divulge that?
Currently, there are a few extant super speeders that we don't have precise IDs on, but I could go into long details for Streak, Flasher, Flashing Streak. The 60-second man is still alive somewhere, although retired. There is, of course, also a few ones we don't have labels for yet. And of faux super speeders, there's plenty, such as Ultra Girl,
Girl, yeah.
Solaria, and Kevin Bacon.
And Destroyer.
That's a mutate. Bioartifice, not a mute.
But still contains the
A faux super speed.
faux super speed, yeah.
I don't know if it's so much a question as a request, but I'm assuming that super speeders will do their damage differently, or it'll forensically appear different when they do damage. Do we get any kind of like wound, showing of what wounds they'll leave and stuff like that?
I'm glad
Because
you asked that question, Alvin. When you do your forensics classes, eventually you will get to all the different kinds of damage type and understanding them, depending on how advanced you are capable of learning. I believe only a few students, such as Alvin Clay, Jennifer Jenkins, and Kevin Bacon, will be qualified for super advanced classes in this, but you should all be able to, by the end of your course of study here, recognize different kinds, or at least indications of different kinds of damage that you can look for the signs of and expect in your forensic science classes.
What about combat and super speed?
Oh,
That
I'm glad
sucks.
you asked that question. 5 hours later, you have learned you're fucked. You are so fucked.
So it's leave it for Johnny.
No.
Super speeders is like, unless you can perceive at that speed, depending on how fast they are, you are fucked.
Well,
Someone like Johnny Lightning, you can't beat them. They're so fast.
Well, actually, we've already covered this with Jania when she was teaching us. You just predict where they're going to go.
Oh,
And
if they've got predictable patterns and you can absorb enough, you can replace perception with prediction and interdiction.
Although I think she was mostly thinking of the faux super speeders like Ultra Girl.
Because that's what
and
she
that.
has.
Yeah.
Actually, she has a different thing, but it works the same way as faux super speed.
Oh,
Okay, so you basically learn, it's like, at different levels of speed, and like super speed, your tactics masters will go over this, but super speeders psychologically fall into a trap known technically as, I'm so fucking fast I don't even have to try. This makes them predictable. A martial arts master can beat someone with low-level super speed quite easily, because the super speeder doesn't know how to fight. A really smart super speeder would become a master of several martial arts. A properly trained martial arts super speeder would be practically unbeatable unless you were invincible to their damage.
I'll look at Johnny at this point. 'cause
Yeah,
I know
same.
Johnny's one of those rare things where he just seems to break character, but just sort of like tilts back his chair and he's just like,
Yep.
Yeah, I give up. You win.
now what happens if a super speeder passes through you? Is there anything you can do about that?
I'm glad you asked that question. Contrary to popular belief, when a super speeder passes through your body by molecular phasing, which is achievable at certain vibration speeds, it does not mean that you did it.
Did what?
There's a common misconception that when super speeders pass through you, it means that you did it. Wanda's like,
That wasn't what I asked. I was more meaning, does that mean that you should go and seek medical attention? Is there something they might have done to you? Or
If a super speeder is fast enough to vibrate themselves at the speed which their molecules can pass through another semi-solid physical density object like a person or a wall, then you will not actually experience anything but an unpleasant sensation. However, if they are not accomplished at this, it is possible that they may lose vibration in part of them and cause drag. If you feel any illness or effects beyond an unpleasant tingling sensation, buzzing or shaking that immediately subsides, then you should absolutely seek medical help. There's probably not a lot that can be done for you.
That was what I was afraid of.
Of course, they will also have damaged themselves, so you could consider it what is technically known as a pyrrhic victory. I have a lot of terms just written down, apparently.
Suspicious as he threw some of them away.
Yeah. Any other questions you have?
Can we get some lunch?
Lunch? It's dinner time!
Yeah.
I think
You've been in the house for 12 hours!
What who thought that was?
3 hour class, and then someone asked a question that when I think it was you when you took it to 5
Yeah, 5
hours.
hours. The 5 hours on top of.
Exactly, yeah, that's what
So it's 8 hours now.
I will see you all again for the next part of your advanced education in the physics superpowers. You can all leave class now.
Oh,
I think I changed my mind about physics.
No. Dedicate yourself to the heavens, my lad. And come outside with the group. Scientist man away!
He actually flies away.
I did not see that coming.
Should have guessed it in the name. It did kind of sound like a hero
Scientist
name.
It's kind of like a reverse Beefy McSuper.
It probably is Beefy McSuper.
No. It would be very obvious. The muscle thong lab coat.
Muscle lab coat.
Stethoscope hanging around his waist.
oh no!
It's a redskin.
Okay, you have dinner. Everyone's just sort of like, oh, what did I think I learned a lot, but I can't really process most of it.
It was too much of the one thing.
Johnny,
Yeah.
all of the crap we just went through, I just want to say I'm glad you're still alive and here because that was just depressing and horrible and like.
It's actually kind of fascinating. I've not heard a lot of that explanation before, though I don't really grasp a lot of the heavy physics, especially since I can't seem to pronounce a single scientific term, which is weird for a guy called Scientist Man.
Well, he wasn't explained everything, man.
Yeah, good point.
So they should see it explain everything man next time.
He probably doesn't know the science.
Jennifer and Anne are in the cafeteria when you guys arrive.
Hey kids, you missed.
Oh, good to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
I want to hug Jen.
She's pretty red-eyed.
Alvin just walked past, hand on uninjured casted shoulder.
So, I hope you had fun with Scientist Man.
You missed 12 hours of a thing we couldn't take notes for.
Thanks for that last 5 hours there.
I didn't miss shit. We gotta do all the fun classes by ourselves.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Gun dodging, gun shooting, powers training.
I am beginning to feel an uncontrollable rage.
Tom's like,
Go get some bread, Derek.
Bread. No, I will get bread. Calms me. Reminds me of better times.
He's got to get it.
When there was bread.
Put it in a box and have it in his room. So when he's all sad, he gets the bread out and just.
Just rub. Use it as a pillow.
Derek's later saying, Go get the police that destroyed my bakery. Oh, right, bread, I will. I'll get it, bread. That's right, Derek. Destroy them. No problem, bread, I got this.
I was about to say it's like making bread.
I gotta go. They're targeting Bike.
No, bike.
Brain bike.
B&B.
So, since his things are basically made out of nothing, would that make them Airbnb?
Yes. That's my supervillain name.
Airbnb. God, well, they're going to fish my fucking house. Oh, Nell's done.